To VW camper or to not VW camper? That is the question. Hey up everyone, I'm Rich at Only Vans. We've decided that we're going to give a family car back and we're going to get a camper and use that as our car. So what I want you to do is, if you've got a camper van, drop in the comments below which van it is that you've got. If you do have a camper, you'll absolutely benefit from our free pre-travel checklist down below. I can't believe how hot it's been today. I'm so glad I've got this super brand new Only Vans mug. But did you also know that we've now got an Instagram shop and an Amazon store for everything that you'd need for your camper? That's enough of the self-promotion, let's get down to business. In a previous video, we talked about how much we'd missed touring and how much we'd missed going to other sites away from our seasonal pitch. That started a debate. Now, it was given to us by the guy from Spinney at Flintshire, and what he said was that he was getting loads of campers in, and what people were doing was giving their family cars back in, but then they were trading them in, perhaps one or two cars, and they were using them as Part X for a Volkswagen camper or a camper of some sort. So that got us thinking as to why couldn't we go and do the same thing. So we've done the research, and that's what's prompted the video really, is that initially we thought about getting something like a Mazda Bongo or a Nissan Algrand or the Toyota Alfera. But having spent a little bit of time sitting in one, we just thought that for what it is that we want to do in the coming years, that's probably not going to be able to offer us as much space as what we need. And whilst we were on the forecourt, there was a Transit Custom there, so we sat in that, and the difference in space was noticeable. So then that got us thinking about Ford Transits and Renault Trafics, and obviously VW campers. For those of you that know me know that I'm not mechanically minded at all. DIY, it's not for me. I can't do any sort of manual labour or physical labour because it's just never been my sort of thing really. So the challenge which I've got when it comes to campers and the difference between the Transits, the Trafics and the VW campers is that I don't have a clue. I just don't understand what the difference is. And as some of you know, we went to Camper Jam a couple of weeks ago at Stafford, Weston Park, and having seen all the campers and all that sort of stuff, and you know, and that community sort of really appealed to us. Now, the challenge, well, it's not a challenge, but you know, VWs are more expensive, and that's partly because of the community. But like I say, the people that we met there were absolutely brilliant. So then we started leaning more towards a VW T5, T6 or something along those lines. So after much deliberation, we decided that we were going to go for it. We're going to go and get a VW camper. So we spent a lot of time looking at campers now. So we've pretty much got a list of what it is that we want. So we've come up with a short list of things that are really important to us. So it's got to be 4-berth. I want swivel seats at the front. I want to be able to sleep in the pop-top bed as well as the rock and roll bed downstairs. Ideally, I would like an onboard water tank. So we've seen some conversions by a company called Camper King. If you know anything good or bad about Camper King, drop it in the comments below. We want something that's not done a load of miles. Now, obviously, appreciate that camper vans can do, you know, hundreds of thousands of miles, but you know, I don't really want to be spending a lot of money on something that's done perhaps more than 40, 50,000 miles. Now, I want to be able to go off grid as well, so I want something that's got really good solar. The challenge again being is that you could write what I know about solar on the back of a postage stamp with a bingo dabber, because I don't understand it at all. But I like the thought of being able to go off grid. Someone's going to power the fridge all the time, so ideally I want solar panels on the top of the pop top roof. I want that as well. If we are going to be using it off grid, I absolutely want a diesel heater as well, because it's the sort of thing that I'm going to want to be able to use all year round. Because ultimately, like I say, it's a case of if I want to take Lisa and Rory away for a couple of days, or Lisa, Rory and Isabella away for a couple of days, I want to be in a position where I can do that 365 days a year and not be cold. If we do go away as well, I want to make sure that I want as much storage as physically possible, really. Now I know obviously in a camper for at least 3 people it's going to be quite difficult to get a lot of storage or whatever, but we've had conversations about cutting down what we take away with and stuff like that. We'll still have enough places to be able to put stuff for the baby and all that sort of stuff as well. Another one of the things that I really want as well is a sun canopy. Just means if we do stay anywhere and I don't want to bother putting the awning up, it just means I can throw a sun canopy out. Absolutely, definitely want one of them. So that's obviously the practical side of things, but I also want something as well which has got big alloys. I don't want something that's dead low to the ground because I always misjudge how fast I go over speed bumps. I want something that's got nice big alloys, and I want something that's perhaps got half one colour, half white, or something like that, something that looks a bit quirky. So all this on paper sounds amazing, but then I start thinking then about, obviously get carried away with the excitement of it all, but then I start thinking about things like parking at a supermarket or trying to park up places. So I don't know, parking sensors or whatever, I worry about Lisa driving it sometimes and all that sort of stuff. And I want to have 2 seats at the front because I don't want to have the car seat in the back or have Lisa in the back. So I want something where I can turn the airbags off in the front. But it's just that how practical it would be as a family car. So if any of you got any experience in that, please let me know. In my mind, I'm a salesman's dream, me, because in my mind I can just see me driving a camper, Lisa, little Rory sitting in the front singing ridiculous Baby Shark or whatever it is that I'll be singing at that time, sunglasses on, wind in our hair. It just seems like an absolute dream for me. But I just love the thought and the absolute freedom that getting a camper would give us. So obviously in theory you can drive from Manchester to China. Obviously you'd have to drive through Russia or whatever, but that's something that you can do if you want to. You can drive from Manchester to the very bottom of South Africa. So with the exception of the Americas, there's nowhere that you, and Australia obviously, there isn't anywhere that you couldn't go if you've got the right vehicle. And I just think having that sense of freedom would be absolutely amazing. And I saw it as well when I went to Aberystwyth in Wales, and I just like the thought of being able to set off early doors and park up on the seafront, just slide open the side door and just be able to sit there, being able to have a brew and all that sort of stuff right by the beach. It absolutely gets me going. But then that also opens up the door for epic long-term road trips, perhaps driving for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But obviously that's something which is, when we're talking about retirement and stuff like that, that's not coming in the next year or 2 or 3 or 4. So that's where we're at. That's the plan for the next few months, is to look at as many campers as physically possible and try then and get our hands on one. Obviously they're in demand at the moment and all that sort of stuff, but if any of you guys have got any advice, hints, tips, yeses, nos, do this, don't do that, please don't hesitate to let me know. We're not precious. Like I say, if you just look at what some people are doing, driving around, Scandinavia's, I just like the thought of being able to do that at some point in the distant future. All this stemmed from going to visit some family on another campsite, and then I got thinking about the highs and lows of seasonal pitches and missing touring. And if you want to see what I mean, watch this video here.